Welcome to Design Dash, a bite sized talk series where we get into the good stuff marketing meets creativity and how AI is shaking things up in design.
Hi everyone, welcome to Design Dash. My name is Aiqa, Brand Growth Marketing Specialist at Venngage. And together with me today, we have Jay and Aiqa, Marketing Lead at Venngage, as well as Nadia Fernandez, founder of La Isla Design and LinkedIn Carousel Designer. Say hi everyone.
Hi.
Hey guys.
Okay, so today we switched the roles and I'm very excited for this. So, today we're talking about AI in the tech world. It is moving extremely fast. And I think we've gotten to a point where we find ourselves either sacrificing the quality of our work and honestly making it sound generic. And, just because maybe we have a deadline, we need to meet it, we have 2 hours left, and we just plug it into AI to make sure that it does the work for us on time. So today we're going to hear it from Jay and Aiqa. Jay's going to bring the marketer perspective, where we're going to hear how she speeds up her process using AI. And then Aiqa, I can't wait. She's going to bring in how she speeds up her design process. I'm going to start with Jay.
I can't wait for Aika's turn either, so good to get me out of the way first. Okay. So with automating stuff, I was having this conversation with another person on LinkedIn, and they mentioned that when AI first came on, we were using it for everything. It was like prompt this, prompt that, and prompting was such a cool thing. It's like it literally was the cool kid in town, and so everyone was, oh, I'm a master in prompt engineering suddenly, and I make fun of it, but I did the same thing. Basically, just ran my own prompt and said, oh, I'm so good at this, and then it began to automate a lot of stuff. But what I noticed, especially when I was doing work for clients or for partners, that their answers were beginning to sound very much alike, or the content was beginning to sound so alike, the tone of voice even. And then I realized it's not, it literally is like a human writer who's going to be writing something without you actually telling, oh, here's our style guide and here's the tone that we want to emphasize on and so on. So it really is the exact same thing. You got to educate it on your style guide, the tone of voice, and so on. So what I started doing was, if I was representing someone on a post or on an infographic, on a design or anything, I would go to their page, their LinkedIn page, for example, and I would copy a few of their handwritten posts, especially the ones that were just updates and so on. And I would plug it into AI and I would just say, okay, copy this tone of voice, but this is what we need to say. And then it started to really improve how it was narrating the information. Although like that takes a bit of time, I would say like it's so needed because it already reduces my time by 50% by using AI to just like understand the tone of voice rather than me going to understand like, is it friendly? Is it professional? Is it quirky and stuff like that? So I would say instead of using AI to just mass create content, I would say spend less time generating the content and spend more time deciding what actually deserves the attention and what deserves to exist.
That's a great way to get to understand someone without having to dedicate so much time that we used to dedicate to read through, maybe interview that person, record meetings, everything. What has actually been one thing though that whenever, let's say you audit 3 posts that they hand wrote and you went back to plugging it into AI, what's the one thing that maybe you didn't find inconsistent?
So what I noticed is in this case, the inconsistency is good because then it's showing me different variations and I'm able to like share. When I really told them to study the tone of voice and study the personality, I noticed that even the choice of words were different. If someone was coming from maybe a corporate background, the choice of words and how they deliver certain phrase or certain structure would be completely different. It might be more systematic versus someone who maybe in a more creative role, like in fashion. And then, you'd have little different words they use to describe things. And that's what I noticed. AI started to pick up these little things instead of just standardizing it as or like just trying to translate what they said. But now it's translating how they said it and also giving us that emotion when we read it as well. So it can do the whole emotion thing. You just have to sort of like nudge it in the right direction. But one thing I do see that this may not work in the long run is that if people keep using AI and not programming their AI for this, then even someone else trying to represent them will not learn their tone of voice or how they actually sound, because it's still going to sound generic because that person didn't train their AI system in the first place.
That's that's so true. Is it I mean, we've been using it for a while now, right? And you said, at the very beginning, this is how I was doing it. Have you changed anything else in that process to maybe speed it up a little bit more?
Yeah, so now I tell it what this person does, because copying pasting like entire blocks of content of that person did take time. But now I kind of just tell it like, okay, what this person does and what they represent. And sometimes if they have a company website, I share it with AI and they're able to say, okay, this person represents this company, and this is the tone of voice and this is the representation that they would appreciate. And then when I just cross reference it, if it doesn't make sense, then I tweak it further. But if it does, then like, yeah, okay, I use that, and then I just make some final touches so it doesn't sound fully robotic.
That's great. I mean, the more we learn about how AI can actually like help and speed up the way we work, the better we're going to feed it to get better results and faster. So I've been waiting for this moment. I do want to hear this speeding, like using AI tools process from Aika. She has always introduced us, has always talked about me, but I have to say that I absolutely admire Aika. I don't know if you've ever seen any of her work. If you haven't, you should. I feel like Aika is a master in hierarchy. That's the one thing that to me stands out with her. Her messages are absolutely clear from the top to the bottom. Has perfect balance of design and message in all of her designs, and I feel like she has so much to say and tell us, and we have so much to learn from her. So, without further ado, Heike, I am dying to know what your AI usage to speed up your process designing is.
Oh my God. What an introduction. It's weird not being the host and suddenly be on the spot and having to come up with some input. Okay, so I've built a career in marketing, but design has always sort of been something that I've been interested in. And so as a self-taught designer, I have always considered tricks and tips that would speed up my work without having to begin learning from scratch. Because I would say that there are certain tools that would take time to learn. Even tools like Illustrator or Photoshop, you might have a very basic understanding of it, but it's not going to get you a really good quality output unless you know all the tricks and the techniques that you can use in that tool itself. So for me, it was a way for me to tap into skills that I might not necessarily have, but I have a vision and I know how I want a certain thing to look. And I have, I would say, intermediate design skills that would allow me to tweak certain things if needed. I can be agile in that sense, but having AI design tools has helped me expedite my work and the time spent on certain things, because I'm juggling not just design, but also branding and marketing. So I'm putting on a couple of hats at once, and time is of the essence. And for me, I need to be able to balance all of these, three different tasks at once. And so I am utilizing tools that are going to speed up my process, but still I have the final say in how it's curated, how the output is. And until I am really happy with that result, I'm going to keep either prompting or tweaking until it satisfies my expectation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my one question is, how or when do you know it's done, that you reach the outcome that you were expecting? Like, what makes it feel like, oh, this is it?
To know when you've reached a satisfactory outcome would be to go back to the beginning and to look at the goal that you had. Usually, when I begin something, I'd have a reference and I would have a bunch of references just so that I can get a sense of the overall vibe or the overall theme. And if I look at my output and it is similar to what my reference was in the beginning, then I'm already kind of 99% there. And the reason why the references are so important is because those are at least either the client's expectations or your company's expectations. That's a good way of judging, okay, I think this is going to resonate with the audience that is going to read it or view it. Usually when I'm designing, I put myself in the shoes of the viewer, the audience. And if it makes sense to them, then I've done my job as a designer. So it's more than just the visual, it's really kind of communicating with the audience in that way. And that's how I normally judge. It's not really a technical thing, it's more of a feeling that I get. It's so hard to describe. And obviously, it's not going to be 100% perfect. And as a designer as well, you don't want to fall trap into like, oh, but I just need to make this one little tweak. You are always going to fall trap into perfection. So the best way is just to be happy with what you've done. Don't spend too much time on it because you've got 10,000 other things to do. And just, if you find that you have made a little bit of a boo-boo in that one design, it's okay. You'll move on. And for the next one, you make sure that you do it right.
What would be the one AI tool that you default to all the time if you need to get something out quickly? What would you focus more on? Would it be to set the vibe and the tone of your design? Would it be to generate the image that you need? Would it be to give you the exact message that's going to go on the design? Would it be to pick the colors?
My go-to tool would be ChatGPT, but not for design, more for concept. But how AI tools or LLM tools would help me is to have that concept be more accurately focus on my target audience. That's one. Give me ideas for different approaches that I can maybe do, that is different to the references that I have so that it's not exactly like my reference. So it would inspire different approaches or different angles that I could also consider. That's one way that I would use AI. For ChatGPT, because when we generate images, we just know that it's from ChatGPT. There is no way for you to generate an image without it not looking like AI. So I do not use ChatGPT for at least professional images. For fun, yeah, why not? If we're just playing around, that's absolutely fine. But when it's in a professional sense, it's just not the right tool for design, obviously. You'd want to explore more specific tools like Midjourney. I haven't really explored Midjourney that much, but I do understand that it can generate some really good quality images. I'm trying to see what other... Well, one example is the tool that we use for our recording, Riverside. That has a lot of AI features that are implemented. And that has saved my life so much when editing. Because one thing, it cuts through all the pauses that we have when we're discussing things. It immediately captures all our captions. So I don't have to type out our captions manually. So that has been such a time saver. There have been ways where AI can tweak our audio. So those things that, I'm not a professional editor. I'm not a professional video editor, but AI has really helped normal people to be creative, even though they don't have that initial skill of video editing, photo editing, even photography. So it depends on what you want to explore, but it's such a wide space for you to try out so many things. So you just explore an AI tool and see where it gets you.
It's crazy, right? You said it is accessible to everyone. Obviously, if you do have the knowledge of what your ideal outcome is, you can start using it for professional intent
Mm.
versus, as you said, anyone can just jump in and create something cool, something for personal use or just for fun. Okay, before we wrap this up, I do have three situations that you would be using AI for speeding up a process or not. Okay, Aika. So you have 30 minutes to draft out your email subject lines, your full email, and make sure you reply. What do you do? What do you use?
I think it would depend on the email. I think if it was just kind of like an internal comms thing that I need to make an announcement, I would do it myself. But if, let's say, this was a potential client or this was someone that I've never, dealt with before, this was like an official partnership that we needed to approach, depending on the situation, I might consider using AI, but I'd also add on my own spin to it. So it would be a hybrid combination, I would say, because this is 30 minutes. And if this is someone that I've never emailed before and I have no idea on how to approach them or what the topic is, then it might help to use AI in that sense. So I think it would depend on the situation.
I mean, that would absolutely help to have a small sketch to make sure that you have all the bullet points that you need to go through for that specific email. I think I would agree with that. Moving on. So you have to put together a LinkedIn post in 90 minutes, an hour and a half. Hot industry news just dropped, and you need to make sure you have that done in 90 minutes, which I believe it would also include a visual with it. So you have to create your post, create your visual, and push it out within the next 90 minutes. What do you do?
I think if this was hot industry news, that there would already be some sort of article or some sort of background information about it that if this is a big news, I do not want to be sending off the message in an inaccurate way. So I would have to do that initial research first, drop it into my LM. And the reason why I would do this is so that it can provide me a summary what this topic is about. And because as a reminder, we have 90 minutes and we're busy people. We have a lot of things going on. We are switching between, different topics and different situations where like now I have to think about this. In the next 30 minutes, you're going to be doing a different task that is completely bipolar to what you were doing previously. So I feel like my LLM helps me to organize my thoughts a little bit clearer and faster. But essentially, I want to keep that voice my own. So I would write certain things, by myself, just so that I have that essence that comes from me rather than a generic AI bot.
I think I'm with you on this one,
Mm.
100%. How would you draft your post and create your visual to make sure that it's out within the next hour and a half, Jay?
So, firstly, I would write everything that comes at my head, just ramble on and, get it out, and then put it onto AI. And same thing that I would do for the process, like just say, retain the tone, fix the structure, and make it give me a good hook. And then for images, I would probably get AI to firstly structure my post and then suggest short carousel sequence where, I can sort of share the story. I would probably use Venngage to put it all together and then post it. Yeah, I think that should take less than an hour usually. I've done it before actually.
I was going to say, like, there is one tool that does it all. You go into Venngage, plug in everything you need, select the right type of post or visual that you're in the lookout for, and then it'll fill it out for you. At the end of the day, we can also plug in our personal intake, our personal thoughts, and I definitely think it can be done in 90 minutes with like keeping good quality outcome as well. Okay, so third and last question. We basically are picking a brand palette, but we want to make sure it is accessible, is visible for everyone, and that requires making sure we use certain color contrast combinations. So sometimes what we can just pick on first sight cannot be accessible. So to make sure you get this right, what do you use? Do you use AI for any suggestions? Do you have maybe a personal cheat sheet that you know you can rely on? Let's start with Aika.
When it comes to accessibility and color palettes in relation, I would say ever since I've worked in Venngage, I've been more aware of the use of color palettes for accessibility. And one of the great things that Venngage has available is a color palette generator that is highly focused on just accessible color combinations. And I thought that was an amazing tool to have. So every time I need to consider designs where accessibility is super important, I would definitely use that color palette generator. Because it's Web Content Accessibility Guidelines compliant, so that's WCAG, every color coordination is inclusive and allows you to choose a set of combination that everybody can read. So it wouldn't matter, what sort of visual limitations you have. It should be able to be readable by everybody. So in the Venngage editor itself, there is an accessibility checker, and this is an AI generated feature where it will look at the entire design that you've created and look at different aspects that might fall short on, accessible viewing. And it would indicate whether the text is readable enough or the color contrast is good enough. If your background needs to be darker in order for your foreground text to be readable. So all of these things are just so amazing to have when you might not be able to do that on your own account and you need some guidance. So yeah, that feature on Venngage is amazing.
To say I've personally used it and I have failed more than once thinking, oh, I'm just gonna run it to see just to make sure it's okay. And I've failed. So it has corrected me multiple times.
Mm.
And I think is gold. It really is because you just make sure that your content is accessible to everyone just by clicking one button and it'll tell you if it's not and how to fix it, which is absolutely genius. So, Jay, your turn.
Well, to be honest, my process is more or less similar to Aika's because before joining Engage, I didn't even know that accessible design existed. So
Mm.
interestingly, we ran a survey recently, and most designers and marketers actually do not know about accessible design. They don't know how to create it, how to do it. There's also this assumption that one, accessible design is difficult, two, accessible design is boring. I use the same color palette that Aika uses from Engage. When I learned how to use that, I realized like actually the content is quite vibrant. For a screen reader. If you think of it, like the screen reader is reading just like a human could. Like if you use the wrong color combination, sometimes even a person with a perfect vision also would have some trouble reading it. Can you imagine how a screen reader would not be able to comprehend or, get that accuracy? So I think those two myths that it's boring and it's difficult has definitely been busted by Vengage's platform. Like I'm able to just create something very easily, very quickly, and it just tells me like, okay, this font maybe is too small or stuff like that, and then I just correct it. It did take me a while to understand it, to understand why and so on, and then to also learn about the alt text, how that appears, and then learning why those are important. But yeah, I think once I learned all of that, I just realized these are all just default things that should already be in your workflow when you're creating content.
100%. I agree. I do feel that AI in that matter has just facilitated this process like tremendously and has made us aware. I feel like if it wasn't because of tools like this, people like just like me who even create websites, I'm always aware of contrast. But this just verifies that okay, this contrast is enough. This is right. You can use it. If we didn't have it, it's just you would either need your little cheat sheet or something and manually make sure that, okay, this grade of color surpasses the minimum, I should be okay, but this verifies it. So I think is one of those things that AI is doing amazing key things for us to design better at this point. Okay. So I believe we are wrapping up this episode. I am so happy. I'm so happy to have been the host. I'm so happy to have actually had the chance to get some knowledge out of, I guess, design points. And there's so much more I want to know. So I don't think this ends here. But I want to thank you too. I want to thank Venngage for sure to always include me in these. And that's it. We will see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye. See ya.